Hello folks, Why Guy here again. Welcome to my home on this very beautiful spring day. The name of this video is called The Why Guy Exposes Real Love versus Fake Religious Love. You know, I know this video is going to step on some religious toes and pet doctrines, but so what does real love look like in this case? I'm just going to use one of many examples, okay? But what does real love look like versus fake religious love? To answer that, fake religious love declares, and this is going to sound familiar to everyone, all right? Fake religious love declares that God demonstrated His love by sacrificing His Son to pay for our sins. You notice how I define that as fake religious love? That's the toe-stepping, stomping statement I knew was going to offend some. However, real love was actually demonstrated by God for not seeking vengeance, but completely forgiving all of mankind for murdering His Son. Let that sink in a little bit. You know, God sent His Son to reveal the love of God, and it was religious men who demanded Him to be sacrificed. Not God, but religious men. You don't think so? What about the statement that says, I desire compassion and not sacrifice? That comes out of Matthew 12:7, speaking of God. God desires compassion. He doesn't desire sacrifice. And what about sacrifice and offerings you have not desired, speaking of God? And sacrifices for sin you have taken no pleasure. That's Hebrews 10:5 and 6. And how about, last but not least, sacrifices and offerings and whole burnt offerings and sacrifices for sin you have not desired. Have not. Okay? Nor have you taken pleasure in them. Hebrews 10:8. So folks, with this pet doctrine here of thinking what real love is, God demonstrates, you know, as far as fake religious love, that God, you know, love declares that God demonstrated His love by sacrificing His Son to pay for our sins. That was God's love going against these three verses I just shared. You see, something's wrong. Either the doctrines of men is wrong or these verses are wrong. Anyway, I know they're deep-seated doctrines. I know they are. And I used to believe the same thing. So what's going on? You know, how did Christianity get so far off with this? Well, the answer is slandering God with the hell doctrine, for starters. All right? Because, you know, in the minds of people who do these kind of things, what other reason is there to be saved? You know, I don't know how many times people have said, well, if Jesus didn't come to save us from hell, then what reason did He come to save us? How about to give us a vivified life? That's what He said. Okay? You notice when Jesus mentioned the good news message, hell wasn't part of the conversation? Have you noticed that? And have you noticed that when Paul mentioned that if anyone preaches it to you a different message, different gospel than what I preached, let him be accursed? And you notice Paul never mentioned hell? Have you ever noticed those things? You see, these things have got to add up, and they got to mean something. So, but folks, all is not lost, of course. We know that. Because that same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead is now coordinating in the hearts and minds of people throughout the whole world, you know, to reject the doctrines of men and to expose God's true identity, just like Jesus did. It's happening again. Well, unfortunately, at that point in time, then what He did, they murdered Him for that. Okay? You know, like I've always said, question and judge anything and everything. Every doctrine and every Bible translation. Question it. Question everyone and anyone, including me, every teaching and every word that comes out of their mouth that doesn't complement God's love and bring forth the fruit of His Spirit. You better question it. It's good. In closing, doctrines of men will always fall short, folks. But love never fails. So there's never a need to be afraid to question what you believe. All right? And where that belief originated, it's wisdom. to question that. And I wrote about these kind of things in my book, In Defense of God's Love. Again, I'm not sure, I can't see this screen. Anyway, I hope you even saw that. I can't even, there's nothing there, it's blank, it's black, because the sun is hitting directly on it. But anyway, I'll try to remember to leave a link on Amazon for this. Look me up on Facebook. I have a private group by the name of the Y Guy Group. And there's admins who actually run that group that are probably a lot more loving, wise, and patient than myself. And I'm very grateful for them because they keep me in check. And I'm not saying we agree, because we don't. That's what makes the group so cool, is because we don't agree, but we still love one another. We don't always agree, I should say. Anyway, it's a private group. I ask 3 questions of you to join. And then I have an open public timeline under the name of John Anthony Jones. I meant to say Jonathan, I misspelled it, and it comes out John Anthony Jones. Anyway, it's public. You can check me out there. And consider subscribing to this channel if you haven't already, and give me a thumbs up for the sake of algorithm, I'm assuming, so that other people may have access to this video, that it might help and might encourage them to trust God and not trust, the stuff I pointed out in this video. Thank you for viewing.